Let me just turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very quiet at this end.
No, is this the first time you're speaking to anyone from Nepal?
Yes, it is, mate. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start. So hello, a very warm welcome to the VAR show, the show which talks about all the base major football leagues in detail. Today we are going to continue of interviews, and we have Mr. Mark Hayes with us, who is the chairman at Ashton Town. And first of all, I would like to thank Mark for coming and talking to us during this turbulent time. It's not been easy, especially in UK, where I don't know which lockdown is this. Like, I just knew one and two. I don't even know which one this is, but definitely it has been difficult for not only people in UK but all over the world. It's not easy. So first, I would like to thank Mark for coming. Like during this turbulent time and talking to me. And yeah, Mark. So how are you and what have you been doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. Yeah, it's a surreal time for everybody, really, being in lockdown. So obviously, the whole country here in the United Kingdom is complete lockdown. So we're only allowed out for essential travel and items. So everything stops. I've stopped work. So aside from running a football club, I run a pub and a restaurant. But that's been shut for a while now. So it's quiet times. But we do what we need to do and get the country back, and then ultimately the world back on its feet.
So is the restaurant by any chance the Gerard Arms?
Yeah, the Gerard Arms, yes.
The one at the
How can
back.
you how can you tell?
Okay. Oh, I don't know. I think maybe I did a LinkedIn bio properly. Like, okay, so like I'll touch more on football and okay, like I want to start with Gerard Arms. How did the name come out? Because for me, I know only two people by the name of Gerard. One is Gerard Piqué and Steven Gerrard. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
is it
it's nothing to do with football, I'm
okay,
afraid.
okay, okay. How did it
It's
come out?
back in the day. It's already been called the Gerard for many years. I think something like 1870 or something like that. It was called the Gerard. So back in the day, there was a guy called Lord Gerard, and his family owned a lot of land in this area, and this was one of his buildings. So it's just continued the name from then.
Okay, okay. So definitely nothing related to football, but
No,
yeah, okay. So
it looks good though.
yeah, yeah, it looks good, especially if I think for Liverpool fans, it might. I mean, like, if they
Yeah,
are in a mix, they'll come probably dip in,
yeah,
especially if they are from outside of the UK. Like
yeah,
they,
yeah, yeah.
they would probably think it's Gerrard's, and they would come in.
I'll go with that.
Okay. So yeah. So we'll not talk about restaurant much. So we'll move into football. How did you get into football?
So I've been in it 11 years now. Love the game, absolutely love the game. So before then, I was a fan of Wigan Athletic Football Club. That's my team. So I used to go games home and away. Never missed a game. Loved it, breathed it. It was my huge passion. I had a son, so my little lad turned 8, and he wanted to play football. So I went looking in the local area to see where my lad could go and play a game of football, and stumbled across Ashton Town. So Ashton Town's it's a non-league semi-professional club. It's been around for many a year. And when I arrived there, it didn't have a chairman, and I just felt there was an opportunity. There's a lot of people who, especially my age in that era of growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Computer games came out, and they were always on the computer games and all that stuff. And kind of what I missed. Don't get me wrong, I played computer games and played football games, but I like realistic things. I like doing it in real life. I just had the opportunity when me lad joined the football club. I inquired a little bit, and I put a game on the pitch. I got a few ex-professional players to play, and then from then the club invited me on board, and it's been 11 years later. It's me pride and joy, really. It's what I do alongside me work, and love it.
And if you don't mind, can I ask you which game was that?
The game that I put on.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a game. It was a game for charity. So I just felt that there was no attendances really. There was hardly any fans watching the game at Ashton Town back in the 91-ish. No, well, 11 years ago it was, and there was nobody really watching games. So I contacted a few ex-Wigan Athletic players to play in a team of mine, and we put a game on. Raised money for charity, and it went on from there, and just bigger and better.
So that is also something you do, right? At least what I could read, like you organize games for legends. So that charity part, is that something you do frequently, or is it one off?
No, so once a year, no matter what, once a year we do it. So I'm very proud to be a trustee of Joseph's Goal, which is a charity in England. When Wigan Athletic won the FA Cup, Joseph was the young lad that the captain brought onto the pitch, and I've been linked with that for a fair few years now. So I actually put together the Wigan Athletic Legend side. And when you look at over the years, the legends that Wigan Athletic have had, obviously now we've gone out of the Premier League and we've gone down a little bit. But the players who have played for me and play yearly for me now include like the Belgian national manager, so the likes of Roberto Martinez plays for me every year. You've got Mario Melchiot, who flew in from Miami to play a game once. We've got Nathan Ellington, Emerson Boyce, Pascal Chimbonda, Paul Sharner. And then the team that I've had to play against Wigan, as I say, we do it every year. So every year has been different. So we started off with against a TV side. So there was a TV show called Hollyoaks round here where we play the TV crew. The year after, we've played a Dutch international side where we flew in the likes of Michael Moles, the striker, Danny Lanzet, midfielder, Sander Westerveld, the keeper. We've even had the likes of from all over the world. Players from all over the world has done it. Karastias, who scored the winning goal for Greece in the Euro final, he's played at Ashton Town now. And as it's just gone on bigger and better. Brian Robson captained Manchester United to play against us. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we've not had one last year. And we're planning for one for this year coming. But obviously, it's very hard times. Nobody can plan for next week, never mind, in a couple of months' time. So Everton's the team next that we should be playing. So the Wigan Athletic side's very strong. As I say, Martinez plays every year. It's a great day. We raise loads of money for charity. And the football club gets thousands of fans in, and it's a good day.
And like you said, like how you're in non-league right now, and which is a very important part in the pyramid of English football. But what is the main idea behind Ashton Town?
Well, actually, it's semi-professional, so we're the bottom tier of semi-professional football. So obviously, in England, you've got the professional game, and then it goes down into tiers across the country. Grassroots football in England, it's such a valuable asset to our game, but probably one that's been neglected really by our country. So the likes of ourselves, we have to fend for ourselves really, and try and run the clubs as best as we can to progress. So. Very proud of that. We've got a ladies team, we've got children's teams. We've got a very good stature at the club, and it provides ultimately the community a wonderful experience. Where we sit is right in the middle of Liverpool, and Everton is up the road one way, and Manchester United and Manchester City are down the road the other way. So we're right in the heart of football, but we do it our own way. So we've had cast-off players from teams who, so we've had ex-Liverpool, ex-Everton players who haven't made the game and not made the cut, have come down to our level and played. It's a really good level. You'd be surprised, even though it is non-league and it's semi-professional, it is a very good competitive level.
No, what I meant to ask you, is it something like where you do it for the fun of it, or is it something that you have aspirations to rise up the division?
Both. It's certainly the fun for it. I wouldn't be in it if I didn't enjoy it. But the aspiration is, when I joined Ashton Town, they've been in this division, and they're still in that division. To be fair, they've never been promoted. So for me, it's a huge ambition of mine to get that club promoted for the first time ever, and get it on the way up. For me, I wouldn't be in football if it wasn't about winning and getting promoted. At any level, at any game, I want to win that game and do the best for that team.
Definitely. And you said like you have aspirations of getting them promoted at least during when you are there. So how close is that, or how far is that?
Well, it's quite funny, really, because I have to admit I've took them down once, so we've been relegated and had to come back up. All I'd say is with anybody who's a chairman, it doesn't come with a job reference. It's done on your own aspirations, your own instincts, and we did take it wrong once, and we got relegated once, but we came back up straight after the season after we came straight back up. And now, under my belt, we've had the highest finish we've ever finished, which was, sixth in the division, which is the highest we've ever finished. And just unfortunately, I really think we're on the crest of something special. But unfortunately, pandemic stopped us. We've just finished the season now. We're sat ninth. We've only played 8 games, not played since December. But the season before, we finished joint 6th. So we really are chomping at that bit to get promoted. And with the squad that we've got, and adding on the professionals that we've got, Emerson Boyce, ex-professional for Wigan Athletic and Crystal Palace, he plays for us at the minute. So we've added in that experience to boost the team and boost the lads. And I don't think we're far off.
And you spoke about like how you have not played since December, and of course, like since Ashton Town, I think, is a more of a community club, and
Yeah.
fans play a very big part of it. And without fans, the finances go wrong because you need fans to come. How difficult has it been? Like, because it would be the biggest challenge you have faced during your tenure there till now.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And as I say, when I first joined Ashton Town, I thought that was what I could help with. They didn't have many fans at all. They kind of weren't very well known. It was just kind of like a little club that nobody really took notice of. Whereas over these years, I've progressed them and got us world known. To be fair, 3 years ago, we signed Pascal Chimbonda and it hit the world news. We've won cups. We're out there, and especially with the Legends games as well. By getting the likes of Brian Robson and Roberto Martinez coming playing at our club, it's turning heads. But financially, you're dead right. What happened in this last season was the professional game lost fans first. So it was quite strange. So the professional game stopped letting fans in because of the pandemic, but we were allowed to have them in. So our attendances went up, so we were playing in front of crowds we've never played before, in our lives. But it was a great opportunity because we played good football, we entertained them, and we've built our fan base because of it. So you're dead right. We can't function without fans. So it's dead right that we're not playing at the minute because we literally can't afford to play and not have people paying to come into the game. But ultimately, I think it's a great opportunity now for when we do restart. I think we've sold ourselves good enough that fans will come and watch us now and not the professionals.
But yeah, definitely. And like, I want to ask, like, so do you think like when football stopped, like you could have sorry, when you were playing, you all could have still does your game been is streamed online or something?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah,
You could do
yeah.
that.
But we were capped at how many we could have watching us. So we could have, I think one game was 150 people could watch it, and the next game was 300 people watching it. So we were capped at that, which was good enough for us. We're used to playing in front of 60 or 80 people. So being capped at that level and then meeting them fans, it was amazing. So yeah, the online thing we didn't really have to do because we were allowed to have them in the game.
So like when you said it was capped by the body, or was it like a self-imposed cap? Okay, this is what we are looking at.
What, the capping of the fans?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was done by the FA. So the FA capped
Okay.
us. So our stadium holds 2,000 people, but they capped us at 300 to make it COVID safe and everybody keep distanced. And because obviously it's a huge operation of trying to keep people safe. And the last thing we wanted was to have anything on our hands, really. So literally, all the grounds around here shut. So the likes of Wigan Athletic, Liverpool, Everton, United couldn't have fans in for a period, but we were allowed them minimum people to come into us.
Definitely. And like how you said, like since you have come in and taken charge, you have probably moved them up. Although you got them relegated once, you have been finishing strongly in the past two things. And
Yeah,
another aspect I think is like you are working in the new ground development, which and how much of that was difficult for you to get ahead, because finances are not easy to manage. Like although it looks like money is there a lot in football, it is quite difficult.
yeah. Well, you'll be surprised with when I first started in football in our division, not very many players got paid. It was more done as fun. Whereas now every team in England get paid. That you've got to have players get paid, which is it's great for the game, but for the clubs individually, it's very, very hard to manage. Our dream is to move ground. So if we move ground and got a better facility, that'll make us 10 times better, because people will come naturally to a new ground. Naturally, if we can get enough money through grants and foundation grants, if we can get an all-weather pitch, that means that we don't have to pay for training, and ultimately then we can rent our facility out. And again, that would take us to the next level of finances. What we're relying on at the minute is sponsors. So sponsors are a huge part of our game. The more people who come on board as sponsors, literally the more we can play within the game. So that's why we can sign players who we sign. And that's how we can attract people. Like, when we signed Pascal Chimbonda, it was a huge publicity stunt, but also Pascal can still play football. So he's still a very, very good player. But ultimately, we then upped our attendances. Our attendances doubled, near enough tripled, just to come and see Pascal, which was an amazing thing to have. And then likewise, we've done the same with Emerson Boyce. It's far from a publicity stunt, but it does put us on the map as a club. And there's a lot of people who know about us now. Like, for instance, I'm talking to you now in Nepal, which is just unbelievable. That's a great exposure for us, knowing that we're touching places all over the world. And that's us getting our name out. So hopefully the longevity of that will only do us good financially.
Definitely. And you spoke about sponsors, which being an integral part for anything you go ahead, because as of now, at least you are not at a place where you can self-sustain and build also at the same time. You require external sponsors. And how difficult is that in this period when people will not, because everyone has suffered a loss. You can't even blame someone for not sponsoring.
Yeah. There's the sponsors are very, very loyal. Luckily, with the sponsors that we have on board at the minute are very loyal. And touch wood, luckily, that it's the businesses that haven't been affected that much. But when we are going out to try and get new sponsors, we are getting knocked back, obviously, because people just haven't got the money, the disposable income that they had, even as businesses. But luckily, our main sponsor Profiles are a building company, so obviously they've not stopped within the pandemic. So we're very, very appreciative of what we've got. It's because of them guys we can do what we do, and alongside everybody else who joins us. And that's where, as a club, it's we've probably got more sponsors than some teams in the football league. As a collective, it makes us very strong.
Definitely. And I wanted to ask you, like, again, this might be very naive of me, but I think like few months or maybe a year back, you had that one big new or story doing the round of, I think, Burger King. They had sponsored someone. They came in FIFA, and like it was a good marketing exposure even for them. Like maybe. So is it something that you personally, as a collective group, are looking at maybe in the longer run? The way, okay, this can be exploited.
Yeah, without a doubt. We're run by volunteers, so I've got a volunteer commercial manager who goes into all these different ways of trying to get us money. I think that regarding the EA Sports and the football was there was a player who does very, very well, Kies Metz, does very, very well on that game, and we signed him. And just by signing him, we didn't even realise we signed him, and he was actually world known because of a computer game. But because of that, it was then another sponsorship opportunity to see somebody come on board because of that player. And it comes hand in hand. We've been very lucky with things like that where it's fell hand in hand. But yeah, great opportunities.
And also, like, I think this is something like when I had sent in the questions that you had said that we have a FIFA player and FIFA team, and like it's like the online, maybe the esports, which is being like not only FIFA overall being a huge market. I think AS Monaco tied up with someone recently. I was seeing it, and even most of the big teams are doing that, because esports, whether anyone likes it or not, is a bigger platform maybe for the new generation which is going on. It has a bigger audience than maybe football can reach, maybe just because of logistically you can sit at your home and see someone playing, or maybe like go through the same thing, which maybe with football you cannot. So like, is it something that you personally, although you have already done it, like something which you want to maybe explore more?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. I think with technology, I'll explore anything. I was getting tweets the other day off people who have started running Ashton Town on Football Manager. So I'll follow and take pride in anybody who's using Ashton Town as a platform. It's amazing because again, it's getting our name out. So there's loads. Definitely, if there's anything to look at, we'll look at it, and it definitely is something going forward because of it's technology is so powerful these days.
So, what is the weirdest or greatest achievement that you have been tagged in Football Manager with Ashton?
In real Football Manager or
in the game?
in the game, I've not done it in the game. I do it real life.
No,
I
no,
do it real life.
no. I mean, has anyone tagged you in Twitter or something?
Oh, they've got promoted. So it's only recently that I think they've added it onto the Football Manager that you can go into the lower divisions. And there's 2 fans who have got us promoted, which is more than what they've done, what I've done in 11 years. So very well done to them guys. I might need to take some hints and tips off them.
Definitely. And maybe we'll get back to maybe the real Football Manager, what you are doing, and what have been the major difficulties for you, like while overseeing during your tenure?
What's that? Sorry, what do I?
What has been the most difficult thing for you, like
Okay,
overseeing the club?
finances, totally finances. So when I started, the club was no money at all, and with having no money, you've got no ambition, and that's been the hardest thing for me. A quick story on why we got relegated was because of really I went all in with a sponsor, so I got giddy. We got more money than what we thought. We spent it in a different way because we never had that money before, and all of a sudden the sponsor went, so we were left with no money again. But we've kind of got the players who needed the money, so we had to adjust. And in adjusting, we completely fell apart and we got relegated. So it's really a fine line of getting us stable each year. Because ultimately, even though it's non-league football, it costs thousands to run a football club, absolutely thousands. And it's thousands just to not even compete. So when you want to compete and sign the best players, you're talking lots and lots of money, even at our level. So definitely the hardest thing for me is to be able to compete and do that consistently. So over the last 4 years, I'd say we've been really, really up there, consistent, signing great players, signing ex-professionals, bringing the fans in. And as I say, other than the COVID pandemic, unfortunately, this has come along. I really think we would have been promoted by now, or we would just be there or thereabouts. But hopefully, better things are to come. We're strong at the minute behind the scenes. We've not stopped, so the ground's still being developed. The players are still being looked after. We've got a very good manager in Dave Dempsey at the minute who have got back from. He had a successful period with us before, and we've got him back, and he's looking after the players. In this pandemic time, via virtual training and stuff like that, and hopefully we come back stronger.
Definitely, and hopefully, yeah. And like I wanted to touch on that one more, going back about the league, and like you said, like you all played 8 games this season, and the league was stopped. And what happens going forward? Because you never know when this will stop, when the pandemic will stop. Although there is a vaccine doing the round, no one knows the effectiveness. Like although yeah, they say okay, they put out a number saying okay, this is this effective, but that is only with a smaller sample size that is being spoken about. Like okay, about the testing and everything. So like,
Yeah.
is there any future, like what have you been told or anything like that, like okay, we'll have the league maybe not resumed, maybe the next year whenever you'll start the league? What if again the league gets over in December?
Yeah.
It will be very difficult for you to run the club. At one point the sponsors will give way.
Yeah. Well, we're in that situation now. So last season, we didn't finish. So last season, I think we played 28 games or something like that. So we were 3/4 of the way through the season, and that got null and voided. So all that hard work for the all last season, it's meaningless. So whatever we played, wherever we finished, I think we were ninth maybe at that point, but it was null and voided. The season was ended. We're sat now. Officially, the league haven't told us that the league has been null and voided yet. But you look at the situation where we are now. It's now February. We've only played 8 games. A season, as we all know, doesn't run farther than May. Certainly in England, potentially you've got the Euros coming in June. It's just not going to go any further. So we're currently waiting. I think the FA themselves at our level are waiting for Boris. Boris Johnson's making an announcement on the 22nd in England, and it's all pending what he says is what we can do really. But I think inevitably the season's ended. We can't. There's no way we can catch up only having played 8 games. So for me, and this is what I've done to the players and certainly the team behind me, is we're aiming for a season to start in August, like we hope it will. I think the league's on the same agenda. So the Northwest Counties where we play in, I think they're planning on exactly the same. Is we just hope, we've had 2 years of inconsistency now. We hope by August we can resume a normal season and start 2021 to 22 as a normal season and get it gone.
Definitely. So, like we are getting to the end. I have like last few questions before we wrap it up. And, like the first one of those is during your time at the club, what has been the most proudest moment for you?
The proudest moment has been silverware. So we're all in football to win things. So whether it's Liverpool winning the league last year or anything like that, I've been at Ashton Town and I've won 2 trophies. Before us lifting a trophy in 2013, the club hadn't lifted one for 30 plus years, which is ridiculous. When you think about a football team having ran for 30 odd years and not lifted a trophy. So I'm very, very proud that we've won silverware. So we've won 2 trophies. But I also have to put alongside that as well is we've signed the likes of Pascal Chimbonda and Emerson Boyce to have such great players play for my football club and to play for the town of Ashton, which is a small town in Wigan, is an outstanding achievement, and that's certainly something that I'm very, very proud of.
Definitely. And I hope you have much more prouder days, than those.
Thank you.
And like so, we'll wrap it up with one final question. And like, suppose you had to give yourself, who was just starting out in 2009 when you took over, maybe Ashton when you were the chairman, an advice. What advice would you give that person?
To never give up. Never give up. Sometimes it's a lonely game. I've got broad shoulders and sometimes I take too much responsibility for things that have gone on. But ultimately, a football club is all about a chairman, the people behind the chairman, the first team manager, the first team players, and the fans. Just never give up. I've got a dream to take Ashton Town into different divisions. I'll not give that up until the day I die. If I wanted something to be remembered by Ashton, it's Mark Hayes who literally lit up Ashton Town and never give up on his dream, which is promotion and to take us into a different division, which the club has never ever been in. So yeah, certainly don't give up. Never give up on your dreams, and just keep believing in yourself.
Definitely. I thought you would say, Mark, spend the money properly when you get good sponsors.
Well, I have definitely learned that one. Yes.
And definitely on that note, Mark, thank you so much for giving me your time and coming on the show. And hope to have you on the show again someday in the future. And maybe even me come down to maybe Ashton Town someday to
Yeah.
watch a game. And till then, take care, stay safe, and hope you achieve all your goals, Ashton Town. Bye.
Super.